Good day, everyone. I am Golden Burse, and today we are going to talk about dyslexia. I'm going to talk about its history, definition and classification, and prevalence rates of dyslexia. And then, after me, Ma'am Hermie will continue the flow of this discussion, and she will tackle about the teaching strategies and educational program for dyslexia. And after Ma'am Hermie, Sir Jimwell will going to share one research study and its findings at the end. So let's begin. The history of dyslexia. Word blindness was the first name of dyslexia, and it was developed by the German physician Adolf Kasmol in 1877 and identified by Oswald Berkhan, a German physician in mental illness, in 1881. While in 1887, Rudolf Berlin coined dyslexia to bring the diagnosis in the line with contemporary international medical literature, which elsewhere described the similar conditions of alexia and paralexia. The word dyslexia is a combination of a Greek prefix, which means hard, bad, or difficult, and lexis means speech or word. He used the term to refer to a case of a young boy who had a severe impairment in learning to read and write, despite showing difficult intellectual and physical abilities in all other aspects. And a British physician named Pringle Morgan from Seaford East Sussex published a description of a reading-specific learning disorder to report in the British Medical Journal titled Congenital Word Blindness in 1896. And in 1917, James Henshelwood, a British ophthalmologist, Henshelwood asserted that the primary disability was in visual memory for words and letters, and described symptoms including letter reversals and difficulties with spelling and reading comprehension. Dyslexia is a learning disorder that involves difficulty in reading due to problems identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to letters and words. Also, cold reading disability, dyslexia affects areas of the brain that process languages. People with dyslexia have a normal intelligence and usually have normal vision. Most children with dyslexia can succeed in school with tutoring and a special education program. Emotional support also plays an important role. Though there's no cure for dyslexia, early assessment and intervention can result in the best outcome. Sometimes dyslexia go undiagnosed for years and isn't recognized until adulthood, but it is never too late to seek help. Primary dyslexia is passed in family lines through genes or through new genetic mutations, and it is found more often in boys than in girls. Secondary or developmental dyslexia. This type of dyslexia is caused by problems with brain development during the early stage of fetal development. Types of dyslexia. Phonological deficit. Phonological deficit is difficulty decoding or assembling words based on their sounds. Note that phon- phon- phonemic awareness is not a reading deficit since it involves only sounds and not letters. Speed or naming deficits. Speed or naming deficits slows reading, poor use of sight words, and sight word. A sight word is a word that is instantly recognized by the reader. It is not sounded out and requires almost no effort to understand. Next is comprehension deficit. Comprehension deficit is poor understanding of what was just read. Prevalence rate of dyslexia. Worldwide statistics emphasize that 1 in 10 people will have dyslexia. Upon reading and hearing this, many individuals can be surprised on how widespread and abundant this neurodiversity can be. In a class of 30 students, an office of 30 workers, or a shop with 30 customers, statistically, at least 3 of those individuals in each settings will have some of this called dyslexia. According to NHS, 1 in 10 people in the UK have some degree of dyslexia. Estimates of the prevalence dyslexia vary from about 15 to 20% depending in part on how dyslexia is defined. A staggering 5 to 15% of Americans, or 14.5 to 43 million children and adults, have dyslexia. Expanding on this much larger scale, in a world of approximately 7.8 billion people, roughly at least 780 million could have dyslexia. According to Yale Center of Dyslexia and Creativity, as many as 15 to 20% of the population as a whole have some of the symptoms of dyslexia.
In continuation to our discussion, I would like to thank First Goldwyn for sharing with us the definitions and classifications of dyslexia, its history, and also its prevalence rates. And now let's move forward to the teaching strategies for dyslexia. So moving forward, are you somewhat curious or excited to know what are those teaching strategies for students with this kind of learning disability? So let's begin. The first one is praise gives power, criticism kills. Because students with this kind of learning disability really needs a boost to their self-confidence before they can learn to overcome their difficulties because they often believe that they are not capable of learning. So as teachers, we need to encourage them, to motivate them, and in order to do that, we should praise them for their small achievements. For example, you work hard. You did well. Wow, that's really good. So those three praising words can help to boost their what? Their self-confidence. So let's move forward. Don't ask person with dyslexia to read aloud because words are likely to be misread or skipped and it can cause embarrassment, especially in a classroom if their classmates were going to hear that they misread or skip some words. The tendency is they are going to laugh or criticize your student with this kind of this learning disability, and so we are avoiding that kind of situation because remember, our primary goal is to what? To boost their self-confidence. So the third one is don't give punishment for forgetting books or sports kits. Instead, we can offer some positive strategies such as having one place to put things away for them to not forget it. So the fourth one is don't use the word lazy because people with this kind of learning disability really need to work harder to produce what? To produce small amount. And so we need to appreciate it, and we are preventing to use the word lazy because it can hurt their feelings and it can decrease their self-confidence. So the fifth one is as teachers, we should expect less written work because students with this kind of learning disability may be verbally bright, but they are struggling to put their ideas into writing. And so we should allow more time in reading, listening, and also in understanding. So the sixth one is prepare a printout homework and stick it in your book. At it is much better if we should provide numbers on what they are going to do. For example, number one, do this, number two, do that, and so on and so forth. So forgive me if I'm tackling this very fast because our time is limited. So the third The fourth to the last is do not ask them to copy text from a board or book. We should give them printout. We can also suggest to highlight key areas and also draw thumbnail pictures in the margin to represent the most important points in the topic that we give to them. So the third to the last is we should accept homework created on a computer. We are now in a modern world and some teachers are not accepting homework created on a computer because they want to make sure that that student really do the homework. But a situation with student with this kind of learning disability is different. We should allow them to do their homework on a computer because it can make their life easier. Words processor can make their life much easier. We should allow them to use spell checker and help with the grammar and punctuation so that we can easily see the quality of the content. So the second to the last is we should discuss an activity to make sure it is understood. So visualizing the activity or linking it to funny action can help them to remember. So the last one is give the opportunity to answer questions orally because as we tackled earlier, maybe they are verbally bright but they are having a hard time to put their ideas into writing. That's why we should give an opportunity for them to answer questions orally because they can express themselves, their ideas, their thoughts much easier. Now let's move forward to the educational programs for students with dyslexia. So the first one is Barton Reading and Spelling System. This program is good because it comes with manipulatives and games to support what students are learning. And also this program satisfies all requirements of both No Child Left Behind and Common Core. And the second one is the new Herman method. It is ideal for grades 3 to 6. It is good because it aims to improve reading comprehension by stressing the importance of a multisensory approach. And the third one is read naturally. So by using teacher modeling, repeated reading, and progress monitoring, this institution able to promote fluency skills, improve vocabulary, and strengthen reading comprehension. So this program is very good for a student with dyslexia because it is able to improve vocabulary and also strengthen reading comprehension. And the fourth one is Wilson Reading System. This program is good. It is different from all other programs because it is for all ages from elementary school to high school and also as well as for adults. This program stresses essential skills such as phonemic awareness, sight word recognition, and also decoding. And the last one is Ninja Mood Bell programs. So it is providing individualized instruction in reading comprehension. It is interesting because this program features a 1:1 student to instructor ratio that ensures individual attention and care for every student. So those are the 5 best educational programs for students with dyslexia. So the first one is Barton Reading and Spelling System. The second one is the new Herman method. The third one is Read Naturally. The fourth one is Wilson Reading System. And the fifth one is Linda Mode Bell program.
Good morning, everyone. Now I'm sharing one research study about dyslexia. So this is the example, or this is who has dyslexia. Steven Spielberg talks bullying and dyslexia. In another interview, Spielberg revealed that he has diagnosed with dyslexia 5 years ago, which described as the last puzzle piece to a great misery that I've kept to myself. The diagnosis helped explain why he struggled so much in school, despite his other obvious talents. Spielberg began making movies as Boy Scout at the age of 12 and dropped out of college when he was offered an internship at Universal Studios. Movies made me feel inside my own skill set. He told Queen Bradley during his interview on Friends of Queen a website for young adults with learning differences. Through the years, he's discovered how to work with his dyslexia too, to tells Bradley. So this passage is published on October 23, 2012 by Rachel M. Key. So this is the quotation or uh, uh, what we call this? This is the quotation from Mrs. Ellen G. White. So this is from the Adventist home. Parent to control readings habits. Children need proper reading which will afford amusement and recreation and not demoralize the mind or weary the body. If they are taught to love romance and newspaper tales, instructive books and papers will become distasteful to them. Most children and young people will have reading matter and it is not selected for them. They will select it for themselves. They can find a erroneous quality of reading anywhere and they soon learn to love it. But if but if pure and good reading in furnish furnish them, they will cultivate a taste for that. So as a reflection about our topic or uh, that we assign to us, so this is our reflection. Uh, Dyslexia is treated using specific educational approaches and techniques. And the sooner the intervention begins, the better. Then, uh, if your children or your student have dyslexia, so we find some psychological to testing will help your children teachers develop or suitable teaching program. Teachers may Teachers may use techniques involving hearing, vision, and touch to improve reading skill. It is not easy, but when we teach them step by step, I hope they learn. So, what God says, God knew exactly what He was doing when He made your child. He knew your child would have difficulty with reading. He knew there would be thought days. Who are we? Who are we to tell? Who are we to tell God He made a mistake? There are no. There are no. There are no mistake. Dyslexia is not a sickness or disease. It is a part of who your child is and part of the way God is going to use your child for His kingdom. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Not dyslexia, not ADHD, or not anxiety, nothing means nothing. God's love them God's love will always be surrounding us, helping us it through the difficulties time. Help your children learn to be strong and brave. Help him to learn that the Lord God is with him and will help him face the challenges of the days ahead.